Welcome back, time to newcomers alike, to another episode of Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. I'm featuring another special guest.
Johnny Rodriguez.
He's back, and it's just him this time, so it won't be too crowded. Anyways, last episode we found out it was really Marshall in the Brad Goodman uniform in the whatever evidence room thing. So let's figure out what's up with that. Marshall's confession. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. In minutes to escape, I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you.
But there's one thing I still don't understand. Large quantities of blood traces were found on the floor of the evidence room.
That's just the Beard's dinner.
If no one was murdered, then how could that be?
Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand.
Ew.
What a dummy. My guess is he's the donor. It looked like too much blood for that. Actually, you could, well, I don't know. We have to have an even amount of parts here, so maybe you should read him. But not on this one, because we already read this one. Okay, let's see. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. Why you knock out Officer Meekins? Press. Hold it! You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I had a bad dinner. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? No, you're that guy now.
Okay. Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time.
Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person. And this beard is a 1 in a million type of beard. Making a detective for an intruder and demanding it to be shown his ID.
I'll have to think a little more about his race this year.
When did Edgeworth get so much influence?
Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry I had to turn out that way. With me knocking him out and everything.
By the way, what happened to your knife?
Oh, you mean this one?
That I'm cutting my own face with? I don't know what to say. He's literally slicing his own skin off with that thing. That knife could never pierce the beard. So what happened next?
He managed to escape. I knew which areas were we caught on the camera.
How? How did you know? Tell me! So you did your research beforehand.
Those who got into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I don't think it would make a difference though. The security type. 6 hours, if I had gone as planned, no footage would have been there.
So the security types erased every 6 hours.
However, you bloodied your own code with your struggle with Officer Meekins.
I had suddenly grown dyslexic.
If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been done. I opened my locker and stashed it in there.
What was Officer Meekins doing during that time?
What else? He was sleeping like a baby.
So what you're saying is on that day, there wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. Well, there probably was, but let's take a risk here and present the ID card record. Yep, that's not it. Okay, so that wouldn't be... What about the jar? Maybe it's the jar. Okay, you know what? Screw it. Let's just press. No more guesswork! Sorry. But the blood found in the scene certainly indicates a crime took place.
What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead, you partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone.
What? Mr. Edgeworth, where's that evidence?
It's still missing, Your Honor.
How dare you? The beard will have your head. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Somebody else stole the evidence. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I'd better take another look at the files.
I had to do that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die.
Okay, let's press that. I don't think we have yet. When you say it, you mean...
Do you even have to ask, partner?
That's gross. I mean, just kidding. The SL9 incident.
2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over.
But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room?
When the case is closed, only the detective who was in charge of it can take a look through it, the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time. No matter what was the cost, I don't care what anyone says, partner, that case is mine.
But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it?
That day was my last chance, that's why I...
Okay, did I press this yet? I can't remember. No, I didn't. Okay, why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman?
If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera.
And the detective's ID card?
I stole that morning of the incident.
So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report.
I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot.
The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall.
So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean, partner, the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Normally, that locker shouldn't have been opened.
So it opened because a rubber glove was stuck in the door by chance? Then Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing?
Yes, indeedy. Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whatever or not to answer.
Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer? This is no small offense!
Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't be forgiven with a simple cut in salary.
Not that salary cuts are even ever a valid solution.
Like I said, this isn't your case. The one is mine. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with.
The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. The beard will destroy everyone. Can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? Why, Officer Marshall?
Hold it.
But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room.
Joe Darkin was convinced for those crimes. One thing I could say for sure, he deserved his sentence.
I remember the Joe Dark case. That infuriated the Beard, and it involved serial murders, which the Beard is great at, didn't it?
I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down in that trial. Something no one will talk about.
What happened? Tell me!
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Why is he so concerned with the incident?
Maybe
I should present... Shut up, Marshall. Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I'd better take another look at the files.
I had to do that, eh?
Blah, blah, blah. You know why? Why can't you forget the SL9 incident? Is it because... Let's see, what can we present that's SL9 worthy? The screwdriver, maybe. Let's try the screwdriver. And it is not the screwdriver. What about this rubber glove? Nope. What about my entire evidence case? Oh, duh. The SL9 incident files. There we go. Okay. Dang, that was easy. How come I didn't see that? Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident.
Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner.
Oh, sounds like you've been sucking too much Kool-Aid. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. In a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall, Are you related to this man?
Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago, he received the same lousy prosecutor award you got.
What? A prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award.
Now remember, Prosecutor Neil Marshall, he handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right, he was killed, and the case fell into your hands.
But what's his relation to you?
He was my brother.
Dun dun dun!
He was investigating the murders with Damon Gantz, chief detective at the time.
Oh, I do say.
The group of detectives I was part of worked under the team. We were desperate to prosecute the killer.
Ooh, that guy's creepy.
Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That's all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed, at least according to the public records.
What do you mean?
My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me!
Dun dun dun.
Suspense!
Well, at least one thing's for certain, and the dead like certain things. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime.
That was the last day of the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with the resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence.
Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled.
Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day.
Ah!
The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department.
Chance? It's gotta be more than just that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one.
Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky.
Oh no! Exactly. But wait! A verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial.
Sam, which is why we examined the incident at the police department today.
But...
There's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All the mysteries at the police department have been uncovered. No contradictions remain. The murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Sky. There was no errors in the testimony of the witness, Angel Star. If you have a response, make it one word or less.
Objection!
I rest my case.
Ay, gringos mi pantalones. It seems the trial has reached its conclusion. There is no room for doubt. The beard is sure of this. If you speak up, I will smite you.
Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department.
Screen's gone black, crap's going down. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize... Get out of my head, Mexicans! Good lord. That would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. The squad finds the defendant.
Hold on!
Motherfricker! Wait, who? Oh, it's Emma. Okay. Your Honor, what? Emma! The defense has an objection, a scientific objection! Right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking for is a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please.
I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3.
The bed will give you infinity. Hurry up. I was kind of in shock. I'm finding out the SO9 incident referred to the Joe Dart killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky and both Sky sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that, though. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint.
You mean the traces of blood found on Detective's Gumshoe's locker?
Come on, we all know Gumshoe was the murderer here. But no fingerprints were found on it, right? And Gumshoe is most definitely the murderer. I will smite him later. No, but I figured if it was examined, No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue and a reason why my voice is so messed up today. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So did you find something? No! Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Fail! Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student! And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Routes, those traces of blood are the only clue we have! If we can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Route, you're a professional! If anyone can save Lana, it's you! Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident to the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain?
It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this?
Mr. Rouse, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please just answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If ever I've needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? Well, of course there's a problem. I wonder what happens if you pick this one. I'm curious. I've got to be honest. I don't see anything wrong with it. Still. If I give up now, Lana's going to be convicted for sure. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you pick. Thanks a lot for giving me a useless choice game. Jeez. It just leave you feeling bad if you take the chicken route. This handprint was left at the crime scene. Clearly shows a contradiction!
The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright.
You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a look at this floor plans. Blah, 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 blah. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing.
Missing? Oh, you mean something hasn't been drawn on there?
Yes. Something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. We must draw a cock and balls on there. That's the only way. That's how we will figure out this case. Just kidding. The band thinks you're disgusting. Let's pray the defense isn't simply trying to draw a cock and balls on the locker. God darn it. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing on the floor plans? The giant purple dildo. Just kidding. Anyways, the question is, which item can prove something is missing on the floor? Oh, duh. The unstable jar. Yes! Falco, punch!
As they say back west, even a blind man can hit with a buckshot. That is, so long as he's facing the general direction. It seems Mr. Wright's not sure which direction to face.
It's no use! The more evidence there is, the more wrong choices! Okay, that's not it. Something is missing on the floor plans. What could it be? What could it be? Oh, the Blue Badger panel, right? Is that it?
Wow. What about that piece of plywood?
I was right. The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof.
Explain yourself, Mr. Wright.
Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here.
So?
So watch what happens when we put him in. That's what she said. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? I think the Blue Badger's the murderer now, because I'm just that dumb.
Gasp.
That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker.
What?
So that means, just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood tracks were undeniably found in that locker. The beard denies it. Demands it. Don't look at me. I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma, on that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So, that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in. Just one moment, I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. The beard is very fond of big words. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but that is a crappy Pokemon and you know it. And it's also the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice.
But how?
One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, for which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. Obviously, some lady was on her time of the month. But don't tell that to anybody. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered!
Objection. That's ridiculous. I refute you.
The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker.
So then, assuming this murder you purports really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves it occurred.
When did the first incident occur? To surmise, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being caught by Jake Marshall, who was disguised as the detective, Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. The blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well. Then tell us. When did this first incident occur? Proof must be presented. The beard loves proof, and the beard will destroy you if he does not get it. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place?
My attorney's badge!
Just kidding. Okay. That shows when the first crime. Ooh, the ID card record. Aw, yeah. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the perpetrator would have had to have entered the room. In order to do so, an ID card is required. An ID card? Oh! The ID card record! Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Ah! Miles Edwards, what have you done?
I never figured you had nerve, boy. Put it off the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure it out. It couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it.
I'm afraid I don't understand either. The band is so confused. Somebody enlighten me.
It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood.
That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer.
It would have just been 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible.
That would mean that the beard did it, because the beard can do anything. The crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. Chart, yay! There's only one other card number remaining. 777777. That is a very lucky number.
Talk about a lucky number.
Shut up, Marshall. Copycat. But wait, that doesn't make sense! How could Officer Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 77777777. Mr. Edward, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 77777777.
That's 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present.
What?
Explain yourself, son. The ID number 777. Oh, what the fuck? Too much sevens. Belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher.
Oh, snap.
Someone who is a so-called executive officer.
I think we've got someone in mind for that.
We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
I do say. But that's ridiculous. Just how?
I've not finished talking, Mr. Wright. Stop interrupting me, damn. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority.
If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted, an official charge.
You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates.
Oh, snap. Ay, gringos me pantalones.
I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander it is? Okay. Let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you, to her. The defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive.
Lana?
Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number, and it's not 7777, I tell you.
You didn't do all the sevens.
Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I meant to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident.
The SL9 incident?
Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence?
That's what we gotta figure out now. Oh god, Lana. I never know how to voice Lana.
Do you need to witness to repeat this question, Chief Prosecutor?
I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth.
2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At that time,
Occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Huh. Lana! I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime within the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying?
I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look at me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did?
Chief Prosecutor, you didn't! I don't have to, Officer Marshall.
Why don't you answer him?
Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana! Even if it involved forging evidence. Oh my god!
Oh, so many flash moments. See, that's what I'm talking about. No. No! Catch me.
Lana's remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Get out of my flashback, illegals. We're gonna end the episode on this cliffhanger. Rate, comment, subscribe, favorite. See you guys on the next episode.